What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to MUFC versus everybody. I am your host, Sean. Thank you guys for stopping by. I know everyone's probably trying to rush home or maybe settling down, wrapping up a few last-minute things before this Spain-France match in the Euros today. I know that I'll probably be wrapping up just before that. I did want to stop by with a short video today. Obviously, if you can't tell by the title, today we are taking a look at Leny Yoro and why he's in such high demand. I'm sure by now you've done a little bit of your homework, looked at some numbers, looked at some compilation videos on YouTube, see what Leny Yoro is about. But today, one more video can't hurt. One more deep dive into what makes him tick, what he brings to the table, and why everyone wants him can't hurt. So that is what we're up to today. Closer look at Leny Yoro and why everybody is twerking for him all across Europe right now. PSG, Real Madrid, Manchester United, Liverpool, we all want him. Why do we want him? Why is he so good? Why is he turning heads and causing such a stir in the transfer market for such a young guy? Let's get stuck in. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new. AA0, if you're out there, you did win that giveaway, bud. Get at me at unitedstatesofunited@gmail.com, and I will throw that warm-up in the mail for you and get that to you just in time to kickstart this next season, all right? So get at me. Let's get stuck in, guys. So if you haven't been paying attention, if you've been living under a rock today, it has been official, coming from multiple sources. United have had a 42 million pound bid for Leny Yoro accepted by Lille. Their 18-year-old French center back sensation is in high demand. We were linked with him a few weeks back. I've been kind of skeptical of not the links. Like, of course, everyone's interested. I've been skeptical of the realistic chance that we get him, just because we know the player is in love with Real Madrid. That's where his heart is. I think the bid was like 34, 35 million plus add-ons, taking it to like 42, 43 million. And it was accepted. And what that does now, again, it's up to Yoro, but what this does is it allows United to kind of get their foot in the door with this new recruitment transfer strategy, with these new structure we have in place. These new people in charge of these negotiations and these processes get their foot in the door with the player now, and can get down and sit down with a face-to-face with him and his agents and talk and try to work a little magic, do a little salesmanship, and convince him to join. We haven't been great in that regard. Remember, we had that sit down with Achraf Hakimi a while back, and I can't remember who it was that sat down with him, whether it was Arnold or Murtaugh. They didn't know who he was when they sat down. And again, I stress, those are the kind of people that have been making these important decisions at United for the last decade. Not a good look at all. So Yoro's still young, right? He's only 18. He could still go to Madrid in a few years. So let's say we do sign him. Let's say 2, 3, 4 years, he'll be in his early 20s. He can still go to Madrid. And if that's the case, it works out nicely for us. If Madrid are still wanting him in that time, we could probably make a lot of money for him. So in that case, I don't mind it. Some people I've seen, and even myself, have wondered, is this us, maybe pressuring Everton? Maybe we know we're not going to get, Yoro over the line. Maybe we're pressuring Everton a little bit to lower their Branthwaite price. Maybe. I mean, how pressured are Everton at this point to sell still? Who knows? And then, of course, Yoro could still just decide, I don't want to play for anyone else but Real Madrid. I don't, Lille accepted the offer. That doesn't mean he has to join United, and he could still hold out for Real Madrid. So it's all going off today. It's been such a big day, big exciting day, but I did want to make sure I stopped by and did a quick video. We have also further reports from Fabrizio Romano on this deal that suggests that United aren't going to wait around forever for Yoro to decide. He's not doing anything right now. He's not at the Euros. He's not at the Olympics. He was in the provisional squad for the Olympics, but he ended up getting not making the cut. And so he's just chilling, maybe doing some preseason, some training. But in any case, we do seem to be pushing. Even I think Madrid's offer was well below ours as well, right? And doesn't sound like they're ready to bid a little bit more. I think Madrid are relying heavily when it comes to negotiations on the appeal of being Real Madrid, right? So it's anyone's guess who will be signing at this point. We put in bids for Branthwaite. We were talking to Matthias de Ligt. We've got this bid accepted for Yoro. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to take a page out of David Ornstein's book and say, you know what? I've given up trying to guess at this point with what we're doing and what's going to happen. It's like floating down the river, man. You can't fight it. You can't control it. You just got to lay back and enjoy the ride at this point and see where it takes you, because it's, and I think the craziest thing so far is just how different this window has already been compared to other windows for United. We're making multiple deals in a given week, whereas before it was we're making multiple weeks to make one deal, right? So it's quite a nice breath of fresh air, quite a nice change of pace. So we'll see what happens. But so what is it about this 18-year-old, this young defender with very few seasons of first-team football under his belt? Remember, he only turned 18 in November, too, by the way. What is it about Leny Yoro that has caused such a stir? Why is everyone talking about him? Why are Madrid looking at him? What do Ineos, Erik ten Hag, and Manchester United see in a young 18-year-old defender that made us massively outbid the Spanish giants for his signature? I'm taking a closer look at that today, and what has, closer look at what has a lot of people calling Leny Yoro a generational talent. So let's get stuck in. Don't forget to like that video, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and let's jump on in. So little background on Leny Yoro to start. Big emphasis on little because he hasn't been playing all that long in terms of first-team football. He only joined Lille's academy in 2017. Makes me feel old. He spent the next few years developing there before he got promoted to the first team, promoted to the reserves in 2022. So not that long ago, right? He was only playing reserve football. It didn't take him very long, though, with Lille's reserves to show what he could do. And the club ended up signing him to his first professional contract very soon after, like months after. He actually made his first team debut that same season in January, March 2022. He was still just 16 at the time, guys. That actually made him Lille's second youngest player ever. He actually beat out another former phenom who you might know, Eden Hazard, for that second place spot as the youngest player. So you may have heard that guy, Eden Hazard. You may not have heard much about him since he went to Real Madrid because he barely kicked the ball, but let's let that slide for now. Sorry, Madrid fans, but it's the truth. So in his first season as part of Lille's first team, Leny Yoro actually grabbed 8 starts and made 13 appearances overall. And remember, he was only with that first team for like half the season. So it's very impressive. He averaged about 60 minutes per match too. So it was already, proving what his worth in that level, even as from such a young age. Last season, so that would have been Leny Yoro's second season of first team football, he pretty much locked down a spot in Lille's starting 11. He started 30 matches, featured in 32, and his average minutes jumped to 84 per game. So that's a huge jump for such a young player, and it's really his first full season. You aren't just handed that level of trust and that level of backing and confidence in football. You have to earn it through hard work and talent, and Yoro definitely offers both of those things. He also got a little bit more involved in the goals last season. He picked up 2 goals. So it's nice to have a center back who can do that. I think both his goals were from inside the box. One of them was headed. So on set pieces, maybe getting involved, which is something we lack. I think Casemiro, maybe McTominay are probably our biggest threats on these set pieces. We need some defenders to get involved. Harry Maguire wins a lot of these headers, but he just rarely puts them on target, which is super frustrating. I think he got a couple towards the end of last season, which was nice, but it's just not been enough, really. And I know center backs, you don't buy them for goals, but it is a very invaluable bonus when they can pitch in. So what's interesting, too, is that Yoro only picked up 5 yellow cards last season. It actually made him one of the most disciplined players in the league. He's actually in the top 20% when it comes to not committing fouls. Very impressive for a young player, very impressive for an inexperienced player. What that shows is that he can read the game very well and knows when to make the tackle and most importantly, when not to make the tackle. If you can read the game, and I've said it time and time again, speed is not paramount as a defender. If you can read the game well to position yourself to break up play and make an interception, so much more important. Finally, Yoro was actually also selected to the UNFP Liga Team of the Year last season as well. So that's basically equivalent of the PFA. So that's voted on by the players in the league. selected to the Liga team this season. That's a big deal for a young defender. Remember, 18 guys. So Yoro's natural skill saw him excel under Paulo Fonseca's system. He's very good at defending channels. He's very good at reading the situation to put himself in the best position to make a tackle or interception. Like I said, good in the air, good recovery speed. He actually wins 70% of his aerial duels, which is very good for a young player. I mean, remember, he's still developing. He's going to still be growing. He could still have time to hit the gym, to bulk up a little bit, to build muscle all over. Like, to win that much of your aerial duels now against, grown men, guys who are 10 years older, that's impressive. He's also very good on the ball. He's near the top 10% for carries, top 20% for distance on those carries, and top 7% when it comes to being dispossessed. So he's actually, he's carrying the ball and he's riding tackles. He's beating a man. He's holding on to the ball even when he's challenged. He's also in the top 20% for those successful takeons. So again, adding to that, he can carry the ball and he can keep it even under pressure. And we've seen that from like Lisandro Martinez, for instance, from Kobe Mainu, for instance. It's nice when you have that in your locker as a player, especially in your own half of the pitch. The pass isn't always going to be on, especially what we've seen from Premier League teams in the last few years. A lot of high press going on, a lot of pressure, a lot of closing down space. Frustrated me a little bit with Ten Hag trying to stick with the playing out from the back against that when we didn't have the players. I think Yoro presents another level to that as well. He can also pick a pass, guys. His passing numbers are solid. He's got a 92% pass completion, which is in the top 7% for defenders. But his timing and judgment when finding a teammate with these passes is super, super impressive. His passes are rarely offside, so he knows when to time those. And that has a lot to do with the attacker as well, timing. But his passes are also rarely intercepted or blocked as well. So he can pick a pass, he can make an incisive pass, split through the lines, find a teammate. Very, very good quality to have, and we likes that in his defenders. With him being so young still, too, I think we can only see that passing range improve over the next couple of years. I think just the more comfortable he gets with doing that, I think that we'll only see that go up. When you're already at that base level and it's already such a high level, I think that ceiling is even higher. So the question is, can he make the step up or the transition to a new league or Ten Hag system? Under Fonseca, Lille actually shared a few tactical similarities to the way Ten Hag wants United to play. Yoro is used to playing in a system that builds out from the back, that is patient, composed, calm, to control the pace of the game, to kind of allow your team to get into position for a proper build-up. They play a lot of triangles, they slow things down, create some space, draw the opposition in, and then go. We've seen a little bit of that from Ten Hag. He likes Onana to take the ball, find a defender, they play it around. If the pass isn't on, they'll play it backwards. They'll control the pace of the game. They'll slow things down. They'll frustrate the opposition. Also, very similar to the way that Ten Hag plays, Lille under Fonseca used an aggressive high press. They like to win possession back in the high up the pitch in the final third. They also use this to force the opposition to have to play long balls. I like this a lot. When we press and we press effectively, whether it's the defenders or the keeper on the ball, we force them to make errant long balls, sometimes forcing them to put it out of touch, sometimes just playing one that's not super accurate that we can then recover. Arguably, we haven't had the defenders for that recovery, but I think what Yoro has shown under Fonseca and at Lille under that system, he and both his center back partner can use their pace, their athleticism, and their aerial prowess to handle these long ball attempts from the opposition when their attackers are pressing high. If you look at Yoro's heat map, it is basically in his own half, but it's all the way up to the midfield line. Very good on the ball, very high press, very good at winning the ball back and starting the attack all over again, which is great. This is what Ten Hag wants. It almost seems like he's tailor-made for a Ten Hag system, right? I like what I see from Yoro. I think he's very, very talented. I think he's a very promising young defender with a very, very high ceiling. I worry, from the times I've watched him, I worry a little that he's a bit too similar to Lisandro Martinez in the way he plays. They're both very physical, very aggressive, very I want to win the ball back kind of thing, which isn't bad. But again, it's about balance. You look at Rio Ferdinand and Nemanja Vidic, very balanced. Vidic had these qualities. Rio had his own qualities, both very, very good defenders. I think I would prefer, when it comes to partner for Licha, someone who's a little bit more composed, who's able to kind of sit back when Licha goes forward, someone who's also a little more physically dominant as well. An 18-year-old, and we've seen that Yoro he's physical, but he still has room to grow. He's still young. And so it's yet to be seen how that's going to translate, but I think it's more about what complements each other, not just looking at them in isolation. Again, if we're putting in offers for Branthwaite and De Ligt on top of Yoro, maybe Yoro is seen as a rotation option, maybe because he's still young. And the question then becomes, is that what he wants? KD, hey man, what's going on? It's good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. I know it's a little off today with the timing. Had a lot going on this morning, and obviously it was a little quiet today, but I did see that, the Yoro news popped up. So I wanted to do a deep dive on Yoro. I hadn't had one prepared because I thought it was kind of a moot point at that time until obviously the crazy news broke today that we had an offer accepted. So we'll see what happens there. As far as being a rotation option, is that something Yoro wants? Would he prefer guaranteed minutes, or would he take on the challenge of fighting for a spot in the starting 11? He's going to be fighting for a spot in the starting 11 at Madrid, but again, it is Madrid. And who do they have? They have Rudiger, they got Militao. I think Nacho is leaving, Alaba. So there's an opportunity. I know Militao has been a bit injured. Alba's been a little bit injured. Rudiger's getting a little older. Maybe there is an opportunity. But it's a question of, do players want to challenge or they want guaranteed minutes? I'm old enough to remember a time when even great players would join Manchester United, and that's when the hard work started. You didn't make, you signed for United. That is when the real hard work started. Nowadays, just saying that word nowadays makes me feel old, by the way, but nowadays it seems like players want one of two things: minutes or money. We've seen the money thing over the last decade with United. You see with Antony, Alexis Sanchez, Pogba, all these guys, Ronaldo, whoever. Let's just throw money at them. That'll get them through the door. It's not the best way to do it. Obviously, we're in a weird bit of a rebuild transition period where we're going to have to convince people of the project. And it helps with new owners. They're going to be eager to impress when it comes to new signings. We're making changes with the training ground. We're making changes in the stadium. We're making changes all over the place. So that does help. I say that, but then so many players end up signing for Madrid or like Man City even, and they're happy just sitting on the bench. For every player like a De Bruyne who's going to start, there is a Calvin Phillips who's kind of just there to fill a homegrown quota. There's a Mateus Nunes. How many minutes did Nunez even get? I mean, Grealish peaked 2 seasons ago for City, and he ended up swapping minutes with Doku last season. So we're nowhere near that level United when it comes to players are fine challenging sitting on the bench, but I think I like what I see from Ineos so far this summer. I think we can get to that place probably in the next several years, maybe next 4 or 5 years. We can probably get back to that place if we handle every year pretty wisely and tackle every transfer window in the best way possible. I also like what I see from Yoro. It's been a very interesting and exciting summer transfer window so far. There's many weeks of silly season left to go. But if we're moving like this right now, if we're moving mad like this for center backs right now, which is multiple deals going on at once, who knows what we're going to do next? Over the years, we've seen us take weeks and weeks and weeks to take one player at a time and then move on to the next one. I mean, putting in bids, entering discussions for multiple center backs in the space of a week is insane. We put in multiple bids for Branthwaite. We had talks with De Ligt, who wants to come. We've had a bid accepted for Leny Yoro, and we're still waiting on that. That's compare that to the last decade of the way we've been moving the transfer. It's night and day. And it's sad that what is seen as normal for other clubs is now seen as extravagant for United. But that's where we are right now. That, again, the sheer negligence and ineptitude of the Glazers, of Woodward, of John Murtaugh, Richard Arnold. It shows just how incompetent and how not fit for purpose these guys have been. It didn't take long for Ineos and their team to come in and start doing things properly. And so that should be exciting enough. One thing's for sure, though, Manchester United want Leny Yoro. We want him. We put a bid in. It's accepted. Now we're all waiting on the edge of our seats to see what happens next. So I'm glad to bring you guys a closer look at why we made such a big offer for the team. He's a teenage center back, right? I'm glad to give you guys a closer look at what he brings to the table, how he's been performing. Obviously, it's not as in depth as some of the other players because he's only been playing for a couple of years, but it still lets you know what he brings to the table. Let me know your thoughts on the kid. And again, we're all going to be on the edge of our seats to see what happens. Romano reported, remember, that we're not going to wait around forever. We want the player to be motivated to want to come. And that itself is a nice change, right? Players who want to be here. We could spend all day and look at players we've signed in the last decade who just didn't really want to be here. You know, your Di Marias, your Alexis Sanchez's. I mean, really, your Pogba's, to some regard, you could argue didn't want to be here. It's nice that players want to be here. Could Yoro be holding up a United shirt before the end of the week, or will he hold out for his dream move to Real Madrid? What we got here? Let me deck this live chat. KD, the boy has a big decision to make. Piss off the club that made him and wait for a big payday in a year, leaving for free, or join the biggest club in the world in the biggest, richest league now. Then move to the most successful club in a few years' time for even bigger deal. If he's smart, the decision is obvious. Yeah, it is a big decision, and that's where your agents and the people that you surround yourself with as a player make a big difference. I've said it a couple of times now. It doesn't seem like some players surround themselves with the best people in terms of people who are going to tell them what they need to hear, not just what they want to hear. And so it's interesting. He's not being paid that much at Lille, so anything more than like 40, 50 is going to be huge for him a week. And it wouldn't take much to do him. I wouldn't want us to pull like we did with Anthony and go from him getting 20 grand a week to 200. That's just not necessary. But again, even if Lille, it sounds like Lille they accepted our bid because it was like twice what Madrid offered. And again, Lille are trying to protect their investment as well and trying to look out for themselves. And so two people make an offer and one of them is doubled. They're probably going to go for double the offer. If Yoro still wants Madrid, he could still go there in a couple of years' time. We'll probably make more money. He'll make more money. Who knows? Like CR7 and PK should do United now. KD says. KD also says it looks like Ineos won't give crazy wages. I don't think we are going to give crazy wages. I don't have a problem with that. If I were Lille, I mean, you could almost make a whole presentation on the Anthony Wade situation when he signed for us as a full lesson on what not to do. There was no need to do that. That whole transfer was just incompetence to the T. And even the Pogba situation, that is a circus of a situation with Pogba's career. Comes through as a young player, leaves for free. We break the bank to bring him in a few years later, leaves for free. I mean, that itself is a sackable offense, in my opinion. That is ridiculous. But we'll see what happens when it comes to Leny Yoro. I was shocked to see that we'd put in the bid. I thought that ship had sailed. I thought because Liverpool missed out, right? Because he's had his heart set on Real Madrid. Remember, they were linked with him a few weeks back. So were we. So were PSG. I thought it was all pretty much said and done that whether it was this summer or next summer, he was going to Real Madrid. If we swoop in and now we've got our foot in the door to talk to him, if we convince him of the project, convince him to join United, even if it's on a short-term thing, who knows what could happen once you get your foot into it. It's like putting an offer in on a house. You don't necessarily go back and forth with negotiations like it's an eBay bid. You have to put in a bid on a house, and then it's a counter or not. But at least if you get a bid accepted, then it gets your foot in the door to go through the appraisal process, to go through the inspection, and then you could come back with a lower offer after all that is. But at least your foot is in the door. Better to put a good offer in and get your foot in the door, and then you can negotiate from there based on what's going on and other factors. So interesting. I think I like Yoro. I think he's a great young defender. I think I might have preferred a Todibo still because I think he just complements Licha a little bit better, but I'm not going to say no to Yoro. If I had to choose now between Yoro and De Ligt, I think my choice would strictly come down to fitness, and I think I'd probably choose Yoro in that regard. If I was looking at just overall, it might be Delit. I don't know. I've said it on another channel on the live chat. This summer is it's a buyer's market when it comes to center backs. And this is why we're prepared to walk away from Jared Branthwaite, because there are a lot of good center backs out there who could be purchased for almost half of what Everton are asking for Jared Branthwaite. I mean, look at right now, we're paying almost half that for Leny Yoro we've had accepted. So we can just stop twerking for Branthwaite and go pursue these other deals and we'll be fine. Everton, again, I'm not an Everton fan, so I don't know where their financial situation is, if they're still under pressure to sell or not. If anybody does know more about that, let me know in the chat, but who knows. But in any case, that has been my deep dive at Leny Yoro. Not as deep, like I said, it's more like a puddle because he's just not been around that long. But I think the fact that everyone wants him and he's only been playing full first team football for a little over a year now, I think that is very telling. Obviously, he's the next big thing. People have called him generational. France just seemed to crank out defenders like it's a factory over there. And so we'll see what happens. I'm excited. You should be excited. In any case, I think what's most exciting is just the way that Ineos are moving this summer. So let me know your thoughts on Leny Yoro. Let me know your thoughts on some of the other targets, and what you think he brings to the table. Are you excited? Yay, nay? Do you think we'll end up getting it over the line? Do you think he's going to go to Madrid and hold out for that dream move? A lot of decisions to be made, like KD says. So that's been all for me. I'm going to go put on the Spain versus France match. I do think that it's going to be a good match. It's one of those things. It's either going to be a slugfest or it's going to be like some of these other matches in the last round where it's just really slow, very careful, and it's like a 1-0 victory. But we'll see. I do still back Spain now to win the whole thing, but Netherlands have surprised me. I have a soft spot for the Netherlands. I didn't think they would do that well just because I don't like Ronald Koeman very much, but we'll see. Everton's new owners are about to inject some funds. I forgot that Everton didn't get some new owners. You're right, KD. But they still have to manage it within the sustainability rules. That is true. That's the thing people forget. Like, it's not just all owners have to follow the same rules. They can only pump in a certain amount of money every couple of years or so. So it doesn't matter if your owners are rich. Now, what City have done is their owners are allegedly hiding where that money comes from, funneling it through these fake companies and sponsors. Some of these sponsorship companies are owned on paper by members of City's board, which is, again, shady. It shouldn't be allowed, stuff like that. So we'll see. Who do you think will go through? Spain? We got Spain, France, we got Netherlands, and who else is England? I do think we're going to see a Spain-England final, and I don't know. We'll see. Again, from the get-go, weeks ago, if you've been following, I was backing it to be either Spain or Germany, just from the way they were playing. And then Germany kind of tailed off a little bit. Like, it was hard. Were they kind of not getting up to full gear yet? Were they kind of holding out till the last sprint in the tournament? Maybe they held out a little too long, or did they run out of steam? Who knows? I do think Spain look a little bit more dangerous. I think in all their matches, they've been very convincing. England haven't been super convincing, in my opinion. They've kind of squeaked by. Some of their bigger players are not playing as well as they probably should. Netherlands are a little surprising. It's interesting to see, how Ronald Koeman's doing, because they have a lot of great players, but some of the better players aren't really doing as much, in my opinion. And like Xavi Simons, a great player. I haven't really seen him do as much, but we'll see. Katie's finishing up fantasy team. Dude, I can't do fantasy sports. Cognitive dissonance is too hard. I tried to do fantasy NFL like 10 years ago, and I couldn't do it because you're allowed to decide, so Patriots, I've always been a Patriots fan. I have family in Boston. I used to go see them all the time. They used to take me to Patriots games. Loved it. Tom Brady went to college about 20 minutes from where I live, so representing. But I can't root for a team that's playing against Patriots to do well just because I have a player on my fantasy team that plays for them. I can't get over that in my head, so I gave up. Ali, I was waiting for you analyzing Yoro from this morning. Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I did have a few things going on this morning, but I wanted to make sure I got home and did a quick scout report before I wrapped up for the day. So I'm glad to jump on. I'm glad nothing else has changed since, because I wouldn't have had anything to do other than the announcement video. But I'm glad to do the scouting report, glad to do the analysis. Obviously not as a deep dive as others because he's just a young player, but good to see some of the inside look at some of what he does bring in terms of his passing, his reading of the game, his discipline. Like I said, very few yellow cards for a young player. I had Spain, England from. Oh, you had Spain, England. Did you do a bracket, KD? I haven't. I've done brackets on World Cups. Last time I did a bracket on the World Cup, it was 2018, and it was ruined like the day before because I actually had Spain winning, and they sacked their manager like the day before that World Cup, and it just blew everything out of control. So I give up on some of that. The most I've done is Super Brew. Have you guys heard of the Super Brew? They do like a score prediction for the Premier League and other leagues throughout the season. It's free to do, and if you correctly predict like 6 or 7 of the scores, you win some money or a shirt. If you predict all of them, you win a crap ton of money. So I've done that throughout the seasons. I think the most I've ever done if I would have gotten one more score right on the match week, I would have gotten some money. I think that was like I predicted like 5 or 6 correctly on a given weekend. It's very difficult. Obviously, a lot of moving parts involved, but it's always fun to add a little something to it. Maybe I'll do fantasy in the future. I don't know. It also helps when you do it with people who actually care. When I did fantasy NFL, I did it with a bunch of people who weren't really super interested. So it just kind of takes the fun out of it a little bit. KD's in the top 100. Wow, top 100 of the world. Good job, man. You must be better at reading this stuff than I am. Interesting. I need to get over to win some stuff. Yeah. Super Brew, check it out. You could enter a lot of different leagues to predict the scores, like I did Serie A, Bundesliga, obviously Premier League. They have some on there for Champions League and Europa League as well. So, but that is going to do it for me. I'm glad to catch up with some people in the live chat. I'm really happy to get everybody involved, engaged. You don't want to gamble. Super Brew is free. It's just a free predictor. You just go in and predict the scores, and you only win for doing that. You don't have to pay any money. So something there. But check it out when the season starts up again. But that's going to do it for me. I'm going to go check out this match. I'm going to go take the dogs out, and I'm going to go relax. I'm glad to stop by and do a video. Really glad for you guys to get more involved. It's been such a great, fun ride so far to see the channel grow. We're getting up there. Who knows? We could be doing that final giveaway maybe sometime this week when we announce our first signing. Remember, it is this pre-match top. It is brand new. It's a medium heat transfer badge. So this ain't no sewn on kid stuff. This is the real deal. So if you want to get involved in that giveaway when we make our first official men's first team signing of the summer, just like the channel, subscribe to the channel, like the videos, get involved. Can't hurt your chances. And then we'll go from there. So you guys enjoy. Yeah, Katie, enjoy the football. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your night, wherever you guys are watching from. Enjoy the Euros. And I will see you guys on the next one. Could be sooner than later, but I appreciate you guys stopping by. I love you guys. Take it easy. Talk to you later.